Welcome to the Pyramid of Moor. If there is one place where the stepra will break, it's going to be here. This area is very difficult, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, but I will show you how to handle all the force encounters that may happen throughout the pyramid. First off, we have a boss battle at the entrance with a couple of gargoyles. You have to battle this on all the tablet dungeons. And the easy workaround is buffing up a guild tosser and sniping them before they get a chance to attack. The gargoyles are similar to Puroboros in that they attempt to revive each other, but they are weirder because this happens through the AI, where gargoyle, when left alone, it unhides another gargoyle, so it's a pain to deal with. Having a fast guild toss is a really handy way to dispose of the gargoyles. Now, Faris as a bard, and with the dancing dagger equipped, barely has enough agility to outpace the gargoyles and avoid unnecessary damage, so we have a carefully crafted setup here because somebody has to learn hide as well, and Faris between the gargoyles and merging will be able to learn that bard command. So let's explore the pyramid. First, we need Combine on Faris. You can make the argument that setting up Escape is better for the rooms that do have random encounters, and I would recommend that outside of step manipulation, but as a speedrun I think it's inappropriate to shuffle your skills to have the perfect setup for every room. It's just better to have Combine ready to go, because we need this for the Aspises and the machine heads, and the couple rooms that do have randos before we can permanently set up Escape. To avoid randos are relatively short, so you don't need Escape. You have Giltos as a backup on Kara in case you do have to kill something. In particular, there is an encounter with a Zephyr Zone that is Karnak levels of impossible to run away from, so you will have to buff up Kara with Dragon Power and kill that off with a Giltos. Now, besides that, I'm also going to set up Battle Speed 5. This is not necessary, and in fact I recommend against it, but I am noticing that I am taking too long with explaining things, and enemies are advancing their ATVs when they are not supposed to, so for purposes of the tutorial I'm going to set up Battle Speed 5 just to guarantee things run smoothly, and that extra second of waiting will ensure that I get the battles done. The pyramid. We don't get anything besides one chest and near the end for money, so it's just a straight shot to the tablet. The second floor here doesn't advance the danger rate, and this is a snake room. When you step over this tile, the room traps you in with a couple of snakes, and normally I never go for the dodge on these snakes because it's extremely hard to do so. They just swarm around you, and you will almost never get a clear path to continue, push the paths to open up the doors. So what I wind up doing is just killing one of the Aspises quickly because it's faster than waiting them out. And these guys are undead, so we can kill them off with a Phoenix Down, but unlike the Dragon Valley, now we have access to mix, so we can concoct something that we'll never be able to miss. You want a high potion with a Phoenix Down to result in resurrection, and that is guaranteed to connect the Aspis. It's basically Phoenix Down, but it revives your max health, so it's an easy way of clearing out that battle. Now, the Aspis has a chance of paralyzing bards, and it's also a point of agility faster, so this boils down to speed ties, because bards can also get lucky and outpace the Aspis, but it doesn't happen often. So if bards gets paralyzed, Faris is there as a backup, so that she can mix resurrection instead. The alternative is kill tossing a couple times, because the Aspis has a fair amount of defense, so you will not be able to kill it off on a single guild toss. Hence why mix is better. Now, after the battle is done, you want to press up, so you give your back to the Aspis and prevent another encounter from happening, and you want to push the first pad and the third pad, and just try to see that the snake is at the bottom of that room, just to avoid another encounter. The second pad, I think, opens up more snakes on the second room, so it's not something we are interested in dealing with. And on the third floor, the danger rate advances here, so we careful around the corners. And with that internal timer there reaches 0, it makes this poisoned spikes pop up, and you actually want to step over them, so we can intentionally inflict poison on the party. And this is part of the guard tanking setup that we will employ until the very final boss of the game. We just need some means of shielding against physical damage, and we will need to maintain a guard tanking setup for the last leg of the speedrun. So just something to keep in mind. If you die for whatever reason, you need to revive with a life spell instead, so that you maintain critical health when given the opportunity. Now up next is the infamous machine head room. This doesn't advance the danger rate, and you just have a bunch of Omega wannabes that just frolic around, blocking your path and giving you an encounter that is that takes forever. It's just not good to deal with. Now, what I like doing is holding B plus up before entering the room as a placebo, and then wait around this spot until the machine head that normally blocks the path just touches you, sort of to bait it into staying on that corridor so that you can walk around it. So one more time for good measure. Walk up, holding the buttons, wait here, wait for the guy to just shuffle around there or touch you, and then keep going up. But sometimes the machine heads can also block your path, so it's not a failsafe, but usually, very usually, if I wait for the machine head to touch me, that means that I get a clear pathway to the sarcophagus, which is where we need to go next. Now, it doesn't matter if you have to battle machine heads, because we are equipped to handle them. And as a matter of fact, I will show you how to battle the machine heads if you need to. But these battles drag out. We don't have an easy cheese, no like Thunder's Spellblade or some switch, but we need to do a rudimentary Giltos plus Dragon Power setup, and it takes a while because the machine heads have a lot of defense, and we only are working with 3 party members here. So, in case you do have to battle a machine head, your setup is on a bit of a timer because you are poisoned, and sometimes Faris may die on the second round of combat after casting her mix, but we'll see if that happens here. First off, you need to mix a Dragon Fan plus an eye drop. This results in Dark Side. This is the backup we use on the Bridge Encounters on Exodus Castle. This inflicts Charm and Blind, so usually the machine head will miss itself or use Revenge, and if it stays confused, then you are safe. You can keep the machine head under control and it will not be able to damage you. And next we want to mix Dragon Power on Kara to buff up and be able to pierce the machine head's defense. So some damage there. Now, assuming that Faris is under critical health and will die to a poison tick, you want to clear the poison status on her, because sometimes she dies after this. But if the machine head broke Confusion, you prioritize confusing the machine head again, because victory is more important, and you will just have to revive Faris with a life spell after the battle is done. But since I didn't need to do anything here, I'm just going to defend to see if Faris dies. That is Revenge. It deals damage equivalent to how much HP you lost compared to your max HP. So we don't actually need it to buff up again. Let me double check, because I'm not sure if you need to do this. Yeah, if you get a lucky Revenge there, then you don't need to. But normally you would have to buff up again, because Revenge is not guaranteed to happen, and Guild does for the KO. So Faris didn't die here, that means I don't need to revive her either. And in my experience, Kara and Bards never die from poison, so there is no need to worry about that. It's just Faris that's weird for some reason. Yeah, the battle only gives AP, and usually if you let the machine heads cluster, they used to attack you again, so try to avoid the battles if you can help it. But as you reach the sarcophagus platform, you need to be at critical health. So if you need to take more steps with Bards and Faris, then you may do so here. And Kara is going to guard tank until the end of the game, so she doesn't need to have a long amount of HP. Now, before opening up the coffin, we needed to heal up the party. Kara for guard tanking, of course, and also clear up the poison screen effect. So fortunately, we don't have to deal with that for an extended period. But more importantly, it's so that Kara doesn't fall on health as we progress through the pyramid, because she will have to tank here and also preserve some HP for merging. And that's that. You can also sort your inventory and fix up your slots. These slots here are my preference. It's just how I like having things. So that if you find better allocations that are faster or work better for you, you're free to just use a different inventory management. That's it. Yeah, we just got a heal up, but we are pretty much ready to go for the mummy. It's a similar strategy to the Gargoyles. You just want to buff up your Guild Tosser, but this time it's Kara. Faris doesn't have Guild Toss, so try to not waste Dragon Fang if you can. They are a very precious resource. And Single Guiltos is enough to take them out of our levels. They also drop Revivifies rarely. All the encounters in the pyramid just drop rare items that are consumables, so you could just take them and not have to worry about discarding random armor drops. Okay, let's keep ascending to the upper floors. Now, from here we don't have any more event encounters. It's just trying to find the tablet. Okay, we want the Faris under the Black Command as set up for merging. I guess you could also kill her with a mix, but we want to say Dragon Fangs. And Kara, no, Bartz. Bartz is going to set up Escape, so we can flee from randos, and we want Kara as a mediator with cover, so we can protect the other party members and set up the Bone Mail for the extra defense. So now we are shielded and safe. And here you need to pay attention to where the next encounter happens for the step route, because first we have a Zephyr Zone. You have to flee from this one. These ladies are very hard to run away from, so you need escape to get away from that encounter. And also there was an event that fed those snakes over there, but it's inconsequential for the speedrun, so don't worry about that. But yeah, here you need to reference where the encounter happens relative to the stairs, because every event encounter that happened before this point is going to add another step to the total step count, and you will be some tiles behind or maybe ahead, depending on how many encounters you have to do. This is normally where I end up, because I always do one Aspis and no machine heads, so this is the usual reference. But if you were to be some spots behind, then here, normally you take 6 steps, right? But let's say that you took 2 encounters, so you are 1 step behind. That means you need to take 5 steps total instead. So you would take 4 steps on this room, and on the next one you take 1 extra step on one of the event tiles. So you just have to adjust your steps accordingly to the visual reference from the Zephyr Zone encounter, so that you can adjust and recalibrate the step route. But over here is where you can fix everything up, because all the paths here that stop the soundfalls are event tiles, so you can use this to go from event to other steps. And ultimately you want to have another encounter happen on this tile, and this is your second tile to see if you did your basic mathematics correct and got the step route back on track. You may need to adjust it depending on whether you get more whether you need to do half steps on the overworld and whatnot, but at this point having randos happen doesn't matter. We don't get more formations after this, so you can just maybe get an extra random and get the step route back, it will be faster. Okay, but if we took 6 steps, use the normal step route, here we get 12 steps, yep. And then we have the Pitfall Room. Here we have a bunch of bridges, and we can do this on 1 cycle. But we need to grab this guard ring for money, so that's how you usually do that room. But you can just hang around here and walk if you fear that you're going to fall by using dash speed and running off too quickly. But you do need that guard ring. It's necessary for making up some falls, finalize, or guiltos, fuel for the remainder of the game. And also all the bridges here are event tiles, so you can walk around them to get back steps or whatever. But if you were to fall on the pitfalls, then you would always end up on this tile, so I guess I'll just show you the path out, because you have to go through here. But falling certainly kills a step route, but you just want to take the hidden passage and then climb back up to have a second chance at the pitfall room. So I guess you should walk here if you need to, but I'm very well practiced on handling the bridges. Here you want to avoid the slides because they will force you down, sort of like the quicksand at the quicksand desert. We are at the end here. We can nab the tablet and move on. Now Bahamut frees up the airship for us, and we can go back behind the ancient library and find the void. Leaving the cutscene, we have to be at 145 total steps.